Tower comes complete with its own topiary, which is that green leafy thing we're passing by on the left. Don't worry if you don't get a good picture of either of those two right now. We're going to see them a couple more times during the tour. I'll be sure to point them out then. Now, the Earful Tower is based off the design of a water tower that our beloved creator Walt Disney had built for his Disney Studios in Burbank, California. Ours, though, stands a lucky 13 stories tall and is capped off with a set of giant Mickey Mouse ears. Now, one of those ears is weighing in at 2.5 tons. The other is weighing in at 5,000 pounds. Everyone get that? Gotta get it? Okay. Also on the left, we've got a staging and rehearsal area for our Lights, Motors, Action Extreme stunt show. This is where our drivers can hone their skills using a variety of vehicles. Now here at the Disney MGM Studios, we are more than just a pretty theme park. We are, as the name implies, a production studios. We have all the equipment necessary to make movies, television, and even radio if we so desire. We have wonderful sound stages, excellent outdoor sets, and state-of-the-art editing and recording facilities, which we have used over the years to make a number of high-profile projects, including Instinct with Sir Anthony Hopkins and Cuba Gooding Jr., Passenger 57 with Wesley Snipes, Quick Change with Bill Murray, and Honey, I Blew Up the Kid with Rick Moranis. Also, a few television shows we've made include the award-winning miniseries From the Earth to the Moon, produced, directed, and starred by Tom Hanks, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, The Golden Girls, and Wheel of Fortune. If you look to the right, you can see two replica P-40 airplanes from the hit film Pearl Harbor starring Ben Affleck. These were taken from the mold of a real P-40 and constructed with a steel wire frame covered in fiberglass. The propellers you see are made of wood and were spun around by a hydraulic motor as the planes were shot at and blown apart in the film's dramatic attack sequence. These are two of only 16 replica planes built for that movie. Only 16 planes were actually physically there. The rest of the planes you saw lining the runway and up in the sky were actually computer-generated images. Now, if you look to the right and up high in the sky, you can see the Earful Tower again. That is as close to our masterpiece as guests can get on our property, so take a picture real quick, or you'll have to get back on the shuttle later on in the day. We're about to enter the most glamorous area of our tour. It's the award-winning creative costuming department. It all begins with design sketches you will see on the left and right as we enter the tunnel. Now, from these sketches, our very talented tailors and seamstresses create the costumes you see the performers wearing. A few examples of those costumes will be on the left in display cases. We've got costumes from movies like A Below, The Shaggy Dog, Invincible, The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, and The Guardian, starring Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher. Also in just a few moments we'll have a display case with costumes and props from Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and with costumes worn by Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, and Keira Knightley. Now here at the Disney MGM Studios, we have the largest costuming department in the world. It has over 250 very skilled professionals creating over 25,000 costumes per year, using over 1.5 million yards of fabric. About 14,000 of those costumes alone are just used for our 920 animatronics, which are spread out throughout the entire resort. Coming up after that last display case, we've got scenic storage facilities on the left and right. The one on the right holds lots of tires for our Lights, Motors, Action Extreme stunt show. Our drivers go through a set of tires every 3 days or so we need all the tires we can get on hand. On the left, we've got a graphics studio, and last but not least for this tunnel, we have a scenic shop, which is where our very skilled craftspeople build and maintain sets used out on location and in our own sound stages. They were also called upon to build props and sets for our shows and attractions, whatever the need arises. We're moving back out onto our backlot right now, where we'll see some large and elaborate outdoor sets which production crews have used over the years for the making of television and movies. Also, if you look to the right, you can see the Earful Tower's topiary doppelganger right now. Also, a few minutes, you can see the Earful Tower on the right. Again, it's not unusual for a production crew to choose a backlot in favor of an out-on-location shot, because out-on-location you can run into problems you had not foreseen, like crowds, traffic, and even noise can be a problem. It's not that we don't encounter these things on the backlot, but at least here we can plan them when we'll encounter them. Yeah, like that motorcyclist. On the left, we've got two bone cages from Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. These bone spheres kick off an area of our tour called a boneyard, which is where production studios can keep their oversized props like cars, trucks, planes, boats, and spacecrafts. We're coming up to the first of our boneyards now. We've got a yellow steamroller, blue frame Roger Rabbit, Sir Christopher Lloyd, Bob Hoskins, and Roger Rabbit, of course. There's the red Cadillac from Gun and Sandbag, a blue Cadillac is from Tin Men, the black and white police cars from Dick Tracy starring Warren Beatty and Madonna. There's the yellow Geo Metro from Big Trouble starring Tim Allen. The blue Barracuda from Gone Fishing starring Danny Glover. There's the GB and the experimental Howard Hughes auto driver from The Rocketeer. Now, an interesting thing about these two aircraft out here is that their engines are actually made of styrofoam and their switches and dials were made of stickers. You know, when they still had those stickers on. If you look behind you as you pass by the auto driver, you can kind of see into the cockpit there, where all the remains of those switches and dials are the sad little white circles where the stickers were adhesed. Now, that Blue Thunder helicopter cockpit is from the movie Blue Thunder. That also never flew. That was held in front of a green screen by a crane as the actors inside pretended they knew what they were doing and hoped that the crane operator did not get any funny ideas. And last for this boneyard, you'll see on the left two motorcycles from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, starring Sean Connery and Harrison Ford. Now, these motorcycles actually did run. They were running for about 6 years in our Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular after making of that last film. All right, we're over here. Let's get going. We're going to be passing between two of our large outdoor sets. The one on the left is our largest and newest set for our Lights, Motors, Action Extreme Stunt Show. It's a quaint little Mediterranean village by the sea somewhere near France called Belfort-sur-Mer, which means a quaint little Mediterranean village by the sea somewhere near France. I think. I don't actually speak French, but we'll talk about this area a lot more later on in the tour. Right now we're going to focus our attention on the set to the right, which is our catastrophe canyon. Our oldest standing set, been with us ever since the park opened in 1989. Making it about 17 years old. It's been used in a number of television specials and commercials over the years, including the Oprah Winfrey Show and Extreme Home Makeover. But right now it is being used to test some special effects equipment, so we have to ask permission to the production crew every time we want to go inside. We're going to see if our driver has actually got permission in just a second. Yep, looks like the gate is opening and we appear to be driving inside, so I can only assume that we have got permission. We'll be going inside, so make sure you got all your loose items secure. It's a bumpy old wooden bridge that we're going to be traveling across, so make sure your hats, your cameras, your cell phones, your favorite small child, or your most irresponsible adults, make sure you know where they are and all that. Also remain seated at all times, please. Now, usually when we get permission, we can stay in for a few minutes. So if you want to wait to take any pictures until all the bumping around has stopped, feel free. Be my guest and all that. All right, so while we're in here, I'll tell you a little bit more about the entire canyon. The set itself is actually based off a real canyon which was in Southern California. It took us about 6 months to build this whole thing, which may sound like a long time for set construction, but when you consider how long it took Mother Nature to build the original thing, it's not that bad. Now, above our heads and out of sight, there are platforms which production crews have used to get a nice aerial view of the canyon. That tanker truck you see is from one of our boneyards. That had to be lowered in using a crane since there are no actual roads going to that particular part of the ravine. Now, I know one of the special effects they were using in here is a rain effect, a Hollywood rain effect, which is created by high-pressure water nozzles, which are also above our heads. They're out of sight for the most part, but you may be able to catch a glimpse of them depending on where you're sitting. They're sort of brownish. Oh, hey. Yeah, they appear to be going off right now. So if you follow the rain back up into the sky, you may be able to see where the rain's coming from. These high-pressure water nozzles shoot water up into the air in a crisscross formation to give it a more natural look. The water only goes a few feet into the canyon. Scene 1, take 2. I believe you know what's going on up here? You don't? You didn't get permission to go inside, did you? You didn't? You just came home. That's phenomenal. Okay, everybody hold on tight. Oh, okay, good. Looks like we're actually going to be extras on the scene, so sit tight and act scared. I'll be back with you in just a few moments. Reset for another take. Well, that's a great idea, production crew, but I think we'll skip it this time. That was our catastrophe canyon, though, folks. Give yourselves a round of applause. You were fantastic. All right, way to go, guys. Well, we're all here as soon as you are, Emily. Get us on out of here, you horrible, horrible person, you, taking us in a catastrophe canyon. You know you did wrong. Not you even present. But we're now going to take a look behind the scenes so I can show you how this canyon was built and describe how these special effects were created. So if you enjoyed the magic and mystery of not knowing how all that was done, close your eyes and ears now, because I'm about to spoil it all. Well, as you can see as you exit the canyon is really just a large steel structure which was covered in a wire mesh. The wire mesh was covered in concrete which was hand-carved and colored to make it look like natural rock formations. The yellow pipes you see were used to pump in fuel for the fire effect, while the large gray pipes were used to pump in water for the flash flood. The flash flood was created when gates opened into the 3 large holding tanks at the top of the canyon, which let loose over 70,000 gallons of water, which came rushing towards our helpless little shuttle, getting everyone a little bit wet. I was too. I'm sitting on the right, but I still got wet. I don't understand it. I didn't have a human shield though. How are your human shields? Did you do a good job? The front was doing okay. Hope everyone in the back was shielded as well. Also used during that flash flood were some air cannons, which are so strong that if we took one to New York City, we could put a basketball inside it and launch that basketball up and over the Empire State Building. The earthquake effect you felt was a 5.1 of the Richter scale that was created by hydraulic shaker tables underneath the bridge. Those shaker tables are so strong that if we turned those up to full strength, we could knock a small car off the bridge and into the ravine. So as you can see, what seemed like an out-of-control sequence of disasters was really a well-thought-out and computerized chain of events, all of which can be reset and recycled in under 3.5 minutes. If you look to the right, you can see a plane that is very special to us here at the Disney Corporation. This is the November 234 Mickey Mouse, or as we lovingly refer to it here on the backlot, the Mouse. That plane was used by Walt Disney and his Imagineers to go back and forth from the Disney Studios in Burbank, California and New York City during the final planning stages of the 1964 World's Fair. It is there that Walt Disney debuted some of the first audio animatronics ever seen, including It's a Small World After All, The Carousel of Progress, and Great Moments with President Lincoln, all of which can still be seen at the Magic Kingdom in one form or another. Now that plane was also used by Walt Disney and his brother Roy to take some secret scouting missions all over Central Florida as they were searching for the perfect spot for their Florida project, or what we call today the Walt Disney World Resort, which I'm sure you've all heard of, right?
You got one of them.
Oh, good. I'd be a little bit worried if you hadn't, actually. I've got to be honest. All right, we're about to pass. We're about to go around the Lights, Motors, Action Extreme Stunt Show set again. So if you missed it the first time, get your cameras ready, look to the right. We're going to focus more on the backstage area of the Lights, Motors, Action Extreme Stunt Show because we are at the Backlot Tour, after all. So if you look to the right, in just a few moments you'll see what we call the Acceleration Alley. The Acceleration Alley is where we can store a few vehicles before they're taken out on stage. This fruit, flower, and bread stand you see right here is actually a very important prop. An airbag is right underneath it, and that airbag can be deployed in just a few seconds out ready for a spectacular ramp scene. Inside these trucks, that was exciting. Where was I? Yes, inside these trucks, there are ramps, which our drivers can drive off of, onto that airbag, which is behind the fruit, flower, and bread stand. Yeah. What I said was just as impressive as them taking off, right? I like to think so. Anyway, yes, I'm coming up on the left. We've got the second of our boneyards. This is where we got a missile canisters from The Rock, a crypt from the Haunted Mansion starring Eddie Murphy, a miniature cattle car and Jeep from Mighty Joe Young. The Acme Waste Disposal Truck is from the live-action version of 101 Dalmatians starring Glenn Close. There's Max the Pod-like spacecraft from Flight of the Navigator starring a very young Sarah Jessica Parker. The Sandscape and the Snow Speeder are from the Star Wars series, The Return of the Jedi and The Empire Strikes Back respectively, both starring Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. There's a Yellow Submersible and Helicopter from The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, starring Bill Murray and Owen Wilson. That movie features a soundtrack of old David Bowie hits in Portuguese, in case you're interested. There's Herbie the Demolition Derby from Herbie Fully Loaded, starring Lindsay Lohan. The Red Presidential Escape Pod is from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And there are two more crypts from the Haunted Mansion, starring Eddie Murphy, just in case we need to spare. Now on the right, we've got the backstage area of the Lights, Motors, Action Extreme Stunt Show. Again, it takes up about 8 acres of our backlot, so it's always there whenever we turn our heads. Now this side may not look terribly impressive to you. It's just kind of a blank gray wall, to be honest. But it does help me describe a very important special effect, which has been used for years. Now these are what we call facades, or false fronts, these blank gray walls here. Now, the idea behind the facade is just to make one side of a wall look like a real building, such as a quaint little Mediterranean village by the sea, for example, and just make sure the rest of that wall will stand. It's an old Hollywood trick called saving money. Yes, a very important term, that. We've got lots of facades here at the Disney MGM Studios, a couple more coming up on the left towards the front of the shuttle in our New York street set. That's right, we've been to a canyon in Southern California, a quaint little Mediterranean village by the sea, and now we're off to New York City. It's just the magic of the movies, folks, and the beauty of the backlot. You can go anywhere in the world, or anywhere you can imagine, really, as long as you've taken the time to build the set beforehand. Now that New York street set was used in a short film called The Lottery, starring Bette Midler. That skyline of New York you see is a series of flat painted walls arranged using another old Hollywood trick called forced perspective, making it all seem much larger and more 3D than it really is. It may not be totally convincing to your three-dimensional human eyes, but to the two-dimensional lens of the camera, there is very little difference between our Empire State Building and the real thing, even though the real thing is a little over 100 stories tall and ours is only about 4. Now also, those facades on the left and right hand sides, they may not sound very sturdy. I mean, a facade is just one wall, how sturdy could it be? But don't worry, all the facades we have built here at the Disney MGM Studios can withstand wind speeds up to 100 miles per hour. So if a hurricane were to come by, we'd be perfectly fine. But hey, when's a hurricane going to come by in Central Florida, right? Probably next week sometime. But anyway, coming up on the right, we've got the last feature of our tour, the American Film Institute Showcase Villains, the characters you love to hate. This is where you will learn about some of the silver screen's most dastardly bad guys and the movies that made them infamous. You'll see costumes, props, even a bust or two from movies like Batman, Superman, Pirates of the Caribbean, Chronicles of Narnia, 101 Dalmatians, Star Wars, Planet of the Apes, Aliens, The Wizard of Oz, and I think that's it. But you'll have to double check for me because you must go through the American Film Institute Showcase to get back out onto the park. Sorry, that's just how it works out. So please gather all your loose items, make sure you have those before you even consider getting off the shuttle. And of course, watch your head and step once you do so. On behalf of myself, Ian, your tour guide, and our fabulous driver, Emily, thank you for coming. Hope you enjoyed the tour. Hope you have a fabulous rest of your vacation. Bye-bye, folks.